Ubisoft cannot catch a break. I feel like it's Groundhog Day. Every day I wake up because I'm seeing another thing about Ubisoft and something going wrong. There's the buyout, there's the Assassin's Creed drama, there's the class action lawsuit for their data sharing practices, there was Skull and Bones within the last year and a half. There was Star Wars Outlaws within the last few months. They cannot catch a break. And now, there are rumors coming out that another big game, XDefiant, the COD Killer that it was touted before its release, is rumored to be getting shut down after its 4th season. And before we get into the video, we have just hit 300 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for all the support. This is a milestone I never even imagined of hitting. I'm so excited to keep giving you guys more content. If you are new to the channel and you like gaming news and gaming reviews and you like what you see here, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. I thank you guys so much, and let's get into the video. So here is the article right here on Game Rant titled Rumor: Ubisoft may shut down XDefiant after Season 4. And this was published by Kyle Knight just about 5 hours ago. So this is borderline breaking news at this point. So going into the article, what does it say? A new rumor suggests that Ubisoft is considering ending support for XDefiant after the game's 4th season, with in-house test sessions supposedly being held by the studio's research team to get new feedback on the shooter. XDefiant is currently in its 2nd season, which launched on September 25th, with a new faction, weapons, maps, modes, and much more. So there is a ways to go. There are still 2 full seasons of content for this game to kind of get back on the right track. I think the biggest issue so far with this game has been the hit registration and the netcode, but let's see what they say further down into the article. There's definitely other issues, I think, with the game that are reasons why players aren't sticking around as well. Prior to its launch, XDefiant was crowned by first-person shooter fans as a potential COD killer. Listen, really quickly before we go further in this article, this happens in every genre of video games. The first-person shooter, every new game that comes out that looks good is a COD killer. If it's in the MMO genre, everything is a WoW killer. The only thing that's going to kill these games is the games themselves. No game is going to come in and pull someone away from a game that they have spent years and years and years on and hundreds of, if not thousands of dollars within that franchise, and then leaving that game and just going to a brand new other game because it looks good. They might do that and try it out, but they're always going to go back to their main game until their main game does consistently enough to completely pull them out of that and waste their time, basically. Nothing's going to kill it unless it's the actual kings of those genres themselves. Going further into this paragraph here, while the game's executive producer, Mark Rubin, is a Call of Duty veteran who has worked on some of this year's most iconic titles, he has previously stated that he has no idea if XDefiant is a Call of Duty killer, and that the studio is simply creating a love letter to the arcade arena shooter that people can love for a long time. Unfortunately, rumors suggest the player count of XDefiant is falling rapidly, with insiders now stating that the end could be near. Let's actually take a look at the player count real quick here. So obviously you can't get a specific, this is the player count for a game like XDefiant because it's on consoles and on PC on the Ubisoft launcher. It's not like on Steam or anything where you can just pull up Steam charts and see exactly what the player count is. But you can go on streams charts and see how many people are streaming the game, and conversely see how many people are interested in the game and how many people are ingesting the content from that game. So if you look at this right now, you see the live viewers is about 800. That's not great as in a whole on Twitch. However, the last 7 days have been about 3,500 as of a peak, with the last 30 days being over 8,000 and an all-time being 203,000, which, as you can see here, over the last few months and since May, it has been on a pretty steep decline over the last few months. If you look at the live channels is looking like the very same thing, where it started off with almost 7,000 different channels streaming the game, down to the last 30 days of 338, and down to the last 7 days of only 133. So from this, you can pretty much see that the content creators are probably not getting a lot of viewers, probably not interested in continuing to post content about this game, because it doesn't look like, as of right now, a lot of people are interested in watching content about this game. And even if you go down here into the last 3 months, In August, it was popping off with over 1 million hours watched, down to September with only 900,000, down to October with 370,000. Now, I do want to mention the Black Ops 6 beta released within the last couple months. That game is nearing a full launch here within the next 2 weeks. So that could also be a reason why a lot of people are starting to lose interest in XDefiant and starting to get back into COD and build up Call of Duty and what they are excited about in the next couple weeks, which is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So going back into the article here, although Ruben has since come out and denied reports that XDefiant is dying, leaker and insider Sean Weber has taken to Twitter on October 14th to share some damning news about the shooter. The leaker's post claims that Ubisoft research team is actively asking their playtesters to host an in-house test session to receive new feedback for XDefiant. Weber then said multiple sources have confirmed to them that it's possible support for the game will come to an end after Season 4 if the players count doesn't start to improve. So there is still a hope. There is still a hope that within the next 2 seasons that come out for XDefiant, players will return to the game. Probably not within the next couple months with Black Ops 6 coming out, but after that, seeing new content, maybe getting a little bit bored of Black Ops 6 and the Black Ops 6 content and going back into XDefiant, maybe it can cause a resurgence. There's a lot that I think XDefiant needs and a lot that they didn't have at launch. And a big thing, obviously, aside from the hit registration and the netcode, which is the biggest issue that I think a lot of people left the game for, there wasn't enough to grind for. There was only 3 camos at launch. They were ridiculously hard to get, and there wasn't a lot of challenges outside of those game modes, which is a big issue in terms of people wanting to get in a game and wanting to really dive into the progression of one of these shooters and continuously play the game over and over and over and over and keep unlocking new stuff. Obviously, there's always going to be a cap, but 3 camos with no challenges associated other than keep getting XP is not going to keep people sticking around that game for long. They have released more mastery camos after that, but still, it's basically just you play the game, you get XP, and then eventually, after a long time, you get the camos. They have also made adjustments, though, to how long it does take to get those camos, so they have made that better by increasing or decreasing the time it takes to actually achieve these mastery camos. However, inversely, that does decrease how long people are going to be playing the game to actually get all the camos. So it's kind of not necessarily a win-win there, but I think for the players, that is a good thing. There's also modes that I think they need to add into the game. The biggest is Search and Destroy, but that is confirmed to be coming back into the game. So I think when Search and Destroy does enter the game, that could be a huge, huge, huge bump to the player base if people are interested in that. But besides all of that, let's get further into the article and see what else they are saying here. So as Ubisoft and leakers continue to go back and forth on whether or not the end really is near for XDefiant, there's no way to know for sure what the future holds past Season 4. The good news is that Ubisoft has already released its full 1-year roadmap for XDefiant, confirming that the shooter will continue to receive new content, probably obviously up until Season 4, with new factions, weapons, maps, battle passes, modes, and much more. The game's second major content update introduced a new faction called the Highwaymen, which features a ruthless arsenal and makeshift weaponry and is themed around Far Cry New Dawn. While Ubisoft has promised XDefiant's first year will be filled with new content and 4 seasons in total, the studio is also continuing to address XDefiant's frustrating hit registration and netcode issues. This was a big thing that I just talked about. I think this is the main reason that a lot of people left the game. It does not feel good when someone's shooting at you, you run behind a wall, and then you still end up dying once you're past the wall. And then also, inversely, when you're shooting at someone, it doesn't feel good to not actually feel those shots hitting the target when your crosshair is directly on them. As part of the Season 2 blog post, Ubisoft said that ongoing improvements have made the hit registration better, but that the studio still has a ways to go and even has employed a new specialist engineers to work on the issue. It's unclear why XDefiant's player count is supposedly falling, but continuous improvements to the game's controversial hit registration could aid in bringing players back to the shooter. Although I think that is very true, I do think, like I mentioned earlier, they do need a lot more. Now, how do I feel about this? I really don't want XDefiant to die. I really don't. I think there's a lot this game did that was really fun. I think it has the best escort mode for any arcade shooter. Obviously not something like Overwatch, who was built around the escort mode. However, I think for an actual arcade shooter similar to COD, this one did it really well. I like how it opened up the different maps and things like that. I like a lot of the different guns. I like the way they feel. I like the way they sound. I like how the feeling of just moving around the game, the sliding, everything just feels pretty damn smooth. The biggest problem obviously was the hit registration and netcode, although granted, I don't think that was an issue every single time I shot at somebody, for example, but it was a big issue when it happened. I liked a lot of the maps as well. I thought most of the maps that I played were pretty damn good, and it was kind of refreshing not to play those big open maps and to always be in there in the combat 24/7. It felt really good. I think the biggest thing that they need to fix is the progression within XDefiant. I really think this is a big issue because, especially at launch, when you only had 3 camos and it took so long to get, that's not going to really keep people playing the game. Call of Duty has hundreds of camos that you can get. Hundreds of different camos, and I think that's a big thing for people that play first-person shooters. For me, I play and upgrade the guns, obviously for attachments, but aside from that, for the camos. Another thing is it took so long to level up the guns, which they have, like I mentioned, made this a lot better, but it took so long that it just was just annoying because you had a gun that wasn't the best it could be for so long before you actually got the right attachments for your gun. I think they need to bring more game modes that people are asking for. Search and Destroy is coming. That's going to be huge, I think, for the game and for the population that actually loves Search and Destroy. I think they also need to add maybe some secondary game modes. Obviously, they don't have all of the resources that the multiple studios back behind Activision Blizzard has to have a Battle Royale mode, to have a DMZ mode, to have a campaign, to also have the multiplayer, to also have the zombies. They don't have all of that. But I think a secondary game mode would be very good for this game. Maybe a Battle Royale, that is going to take a lot of resources, but it seems like every single first-person shooter that is successful nowadays also has a Battle Royale, or its main focus is the Battle Royale. So obviously that's not what they want to be. They want to be an arcade shooter, and I still think there's a way for them to succeed within that genre without needing a Battle Royale, but I do think some secondary game modes, at least limited time, like they say they are bringing, will help jumpstart the player base a little bit more and get them interested in the game. So aside from all of this, like I mentioned, I don't want this game to fail at all. Aside from a lot of the other Ubisoft games, I think this one is relatively good for the most part. But I do want to hear down in the comments what you guys think about this. Are you excited to play future seasons of XDefiant? Do you want the game to fail? Do you want Call of Duty to have more competition in the market and you really want XDefiant to stay for a while? I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments. Aside from this, please like the video if you like the video and subscribe for more videos very similar to this with gaming news and gaming reviews. I love you guys. Just hit 300 subscribers. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.